Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea at the heart of the Christian faith. It's this journey, really, from what's called the law to what's called grace, and what it all means for being made spiritually clean. Think of it as a story that goes from identifying a problem to receiving the solution.
You know, it all starts with this feeling, this sense that's pretty much universal, isn't it? This deep down feeling that our actions matter, that they have weight, and we all have this desire to find a way to be, well, right. It's a search that connects all of us, no matter where or when we live.
And what's really fascinating is how different people talk about this feeling. For instance, many people understand it through the idea of karma, this principle that our actions, both good and bad, shape what happens to us down the road. The Bible, on the other hand, uses a different word, sin. Now, it describes sin not just as a list of bad things we do, but as a kind of impurity, a condition that creates a separation between us and a perfectly holy God. So even though the words are different, karma and sin both point to that same universal human sense of falling short.
Okay, so if there's a standard we're falling short of, how do we even know what that standard is? Well, this leads us to the first major piece of the puzzle in the biblical story, the law.
So when the Bible talks about the law, it's talking about God's absolute perfect standard. It's the ultimate roadmap of what is good, what is right, and what true holiness is all about. The idea is that it's not just some random set of rules, but it's actually a reflection of God's own perfect character.
A really great way to get your head around the law is to think of it like a mirror. A mirror is incredibly helpful, right? It shows you that you've got dirt on your face. But here's the thing, you can't use the mirror itself to wash your face. And in the same way, the law is perfect for showing us our spiritual condition, our impurity, our sin, but it just doesn't have the power to fix it. From this perspective, no matter how hard we try, our own efforts just can't wipe the slate clean.
And this is a really important point. The one who gave this law isn't described as some distant cosmic energy. No, he's revealed as a single, personal creator, a father who, according to the scriptures, isn't just looking for people to follow rules, but is actually looking for a real, genuine relationship with the people he made.
So, this leads us to the huge turning point in the entire story. If trying harder doesn't work, if our own efforts can't make us clean, then what can? This is where the whole narrative brings in a totally different principle, contrasting karma with something called grace.
And here's the absolute heart of the difference. The principle of karma is basically about cosmic justice. You get what you deserve. Your actions build up a kind of debt or credit that has to be balanced out. But grace? Grace flips that idea completely on its head. It's not about getting what you deserve at all. It's about being given a gift that you could never, ever earn on your own.
So how is a gift like that even possible? Well, the Christian faith hangs on this one single pivotal event. God himself, in the person of Jesus Christ, actually stepping into our world, into our history. He didn't stay far away. He came here personally to deal with the problem of sin that the law could only point out. So how does this whole grace thing work? Well, it's presented as a kind of divine transaction that happens in 3 steps. First, Jesus willingly takes the full consequence, the spiritual debt of all our sin onto himself. Then, second, at the cross, the requirements of perfect justice are completely satisfied. And because justice is satisfied, and this is the amazing part, divine mercy can be freely released to absolutely everyone.
And the story's climax is the resurrection. Jesus rising from the dead is presented as the ultimate proof, the receipt, if you will, that the debt of sin was paid for, completely and totally, and that even death was defeated. Because of this, the whole dynamic just shifts. Forgiveness is no longer some goal you have to strive for and achieve. It becomes a free gift, just waiting to be received.
You know, all of this naturally leads to a very personal question. If forgiveness is a gift, then at some point it has to be accepted. So let's take a look at what that invitation actually looks like.
How do you go from just understanding this idea to actually experiencing it for yourself? Well, the answer, according to the source, isn't some complicated ritual. It's actually surprisingly simple.
It all starts with a simple prayer, one that comes straight from the heart. The very first step is just acknowledging God for who he is, the one true personal creator and father of everything.
The next part of the prayer is about making it personal. It's about believing that what Jesus did on the cross was for you, that it was to pay for your sin and to give you that spiritual cleanness that you couldn't get on your own.
And then comes the active part, the step of acceptance.
This is where you consciously say, yes, I receive that gift. It's a decision to turn away from other paths and to actually invite God to come and be the center of your life.
And finally, the prayer wraps up with this powerful declaration of faith and just gratitude. It's acknowledging this brand new reality that you are now forgiven, you are free, and affirming that Jesus is both your Savior, the one who rescues you, and your Lord, the one who now leads you.
So what's the result of all this? According to this message, your entire identity changes. You are no longer defined by your past, by your mistakes, or by your karma. Instead, you're invited into a real, living relationship with God. You are totally forgiven, and you're called one of His own.
And that really brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? The law was like that mirror. It showed us the impossible standard that holiness demands. But grace is the incredible gift that actually gives us the very holiness that God requires. It's the journey from seeing the problem to receiving the solution, freely and for good.